All right, let's dive into one of the all-time great psychological thrillers, Stendhal's masterpiece, The Red and the Black. Honestly, this thing reads like a modern thriller. It's all about ambition, love, and what happens when one brilliant young man decides he's going to conquer a world that was never meant for him.
And that really is the burning question at the heart of this whole story. I mean, what does it actually cost? For a guy, Julian Sorel, who's starting from the absolute bottom, the answer is, well, it's going to involve a lot of deception, a lot of passion, and yeah, eventually a pistol. So buckle up. This is his story.
Okay, so our story kicks off in this tiny French town called Verrières. You gotta picture it. It's all about petty rivalries and keeping up appearances. And right in the middle of all this, we meet our hero. Our anti-hero, maybe. A kid who is dreaming of a life that's a million miles away from his dad's woodworking shop.
So let's meet the man himself, Julien Sorel. This kid is nothing like his rough, tough father and brothers. He's kind of small, but his mind is razor sharp. He's secretly reading every book he can get his hands on, and he's even memorized the entire Bible in Latin. He's got this massive Napoleon complex, convinced he's a genius born in the wrong time, and he is just desperate to get out.
This is where the title of the book comes in, The Red and the Black. See, for a poor kid like Julian, there are basically two ways to get ahead. The red, that's the army uniform. It stands for passion, risk, and the kind of glory his hero Napoleon found. But that door's pretty much closed now. So there's the black, the priest's robes. It's the safer bet, for sure, but it's a path built on hypocrisy. Julian has to pick a side.
So, Julien's first big move doesn't happen on some grand battlefield. Nope. It happens inside the house of the most important guy in town, the super vain and status-obsessed mayor, Monsieur de Rênal.
The mayor hires Julian to be a tutor for his kids, mostly just to show off to his rival. But for Julian, this is not just a job. Oh no, this is his first military campaign. And he quickly sets his sights on a target, the mayor's beautiful, but very naive wife, Madame de Rênal. Now, Madame de Rênal is expecting some rough, uneducated peasant, so she's totally shocked when this shy, pale, super smart kid shows up. Julian, on the other hand, decides it's his duty to seduce her. It's a power move, right? A way to get one over on his rich employers. But then things get complicated. What starts as this cold, calculated plan actually turns into real, passionate love, probably the first true emotion either of them has ever felt. But you know how these things go. Their little secret romance is living on borrowed time, and sure enough, an anonymous letter shows up on the mayor's desk, and their whole world just shudders. So to stop a massive scandal from blowing up the town, Julian has to leave. They send him off to a seminary. His first campaign is over, and it feels like a defeat. But for Julian, let's be real, this war is far from over. Next stop, Paris. Julian trades the small-town drama for a much bigger stage. After somehow making it through the snake pit of the seminary, he manages to land a job that's going to throw him right into the deep end of high society. With a little help, Julien becomes the private secretary for this incredibly influential aristocrat, the Marquis de la Mole. And he learns real fast that being a genius isn't enough in Paris. You have to know how to talk, how to act, how to be impressive without looking like you're trying. It's a whole new set of rules. And in Paris, Julien comes up against his greatest challenge yet. And it's not some powerful man. It's the Marquis's incredibly smart, proud, and very, very bored daughter. So, meet Mathilde de la Mole. She thinks all the rich guys trying to marry her are total bores. She's obsessed with this ancestor of hers from the 16th century who was executed for love and glory. And when she looks at Julian, this intense, mysterious guy from the lower class, she sees a little spark of that same dangerous energy. She starts to see him as her own tragic hero. This new romance is a whole different beast. His love for Madame de Rênal was real, it was raw passion. But with Mathilde, it's all a head game. It's like a chess match between two massive egos, each one trying to outsmart and control the other. Their relationship is just this wild roller coaster of mind games. They're in love one minute, they hate each other the next. But then their little game takes a very real turn. Mathilde gets pregnant. And suddenly, this game of wits has real-world consequences that could bring everything down. Can you believe it? Julian is this close to winning it all. The Marquis is furious, but with a baby on the way, his hands are tied.
He's about to give Julian a noble title and let him marry his daughter. He's won. And that's when his past comes roaring back to finish him. At the absolute peak of his success, a letter arrives for the Marquis. And it's from the one person Julian probably thought he'd never have to deal with again, Madame de Renal. So it turns out her priest basically pressured her into writing this letter, and it is absolutely devastating. It paints Julian as this cold, calculating monster who just uses women to get ahead. For the Marquis, this is all the proof he needs. The wedding is off, Julian is ruined, it's over. When Julian finds out, he just snaps. The one person he thought really, truly loved him has betrayed him. And all that ambition, all that careful planning, it just boils over into pure, blind rage. He buys a pistol and rides like a madman all the way back to Verrier's.
He knows exactly where he'll find her. He walks straight into the church during Sunday service, and there she is, kneeling in prayer. He raises the pistol. He fires 2 shots. The sound rips through the quiet church, and everything descends into chaos. Julian doesn't even try to run. He's arrested right there. And in a crazy twist, Madame de Renal actually survives. But for Julian, the game is up. He's thrown in prison, and for the first time in his entire life, away from society and the need to constantly perform, that raging fire of ambition inside him just goes out. So he's sentenced to death, and as he's waiting for the guillotine, he finally has a moment of clarity. He realizes all those power games with Mathilde meant nothing. His one true, real love was for Madame de Renal, the woman his ambition drove him to try and murder. How tragic is that? He turns down every chance to appeal his sentence, and he seems weirdly at peace with it all. So yeah, he lost. He lost the game of society. He didn't get the status or the glory he craved. But by losing all of that, maybe he found a piece of his true self. Which leaves us with one last question to think about. Was any of it worth it?